Oh, hey, this is Ash, and in this video, we're gonna be covering the core topic, the activation ritual. Problem: you are ambitious, you want to build something real, you know what needs to be done, but when it's time to start, you hesitate, you overthink, you delay, and that's the part that frustrates you. Desired outcome: what you really want is to become someone who doesn't wait for motivation. Who, what, when it's time to work, you sit down and begin. No emotional negotiation, no hesitation. So, in this module, we're gonna go over the root cause, under which we have motivation dependency, mental overload, state misalignment. Then, under peak performers way, we have identity execution, ritual activation, engineered starts. Then in action steps, we're gonna have friction reduction, attractive execution, momentum triggers. So let's begin. So without any further ado, let's begin. So when it comes to root cause, why starting work feel difficult is, let's quickly read this point, is motivation dependency. Many people rely on motivation on or willpower to begin working. This creates an unstable execution pattern, which, because motivation is emotional and inconsistent. Some days it feels easy to start. On other days there is little internal drive. When work depends on emotional readiness, action becomes unpredictable. Instead of following a structured process, people wait until they feel like starting. This leads to delay, execution, and inconsistent progress. The first few minutes of starting a task often feel the most difficult. The brain naturally resists uncertainty and effort. As a result, people hesitate, postpone, or mentally negotiate before beginning. This creates willpower trap, trying to force action through emotion rather than using a system. Okay, through this point, what I'm trying to explain in here is that when we think about like emotions, has when we think about motivation, it's actually an emotion that we feel inside of our body. But if we remove that, still, if 1 plus 1 will be equals to 2, if there is motivation or not. And what happens, like it was me also, I used to rely on motivation a lot. And like until unless I'm feeling motivated to do something, I will do it. I won't do that task. It was like that. But it took me a while to realize that it doesn't matter. Like what emotion does is that emotion just give you that sort of feeling. You know, here I have it. Motivation is emotional and inconsistent. Have you seen, if you had that one friend of your who is like kind of emotional, you will see his emotions go up, down, left, right. Like there is no like a point, a straightforward point. His emotions are like in, not in the favor, you can say. So so that is what I'm trying to explain in here. Then coming under mental overload. Mental overload occurs when the mind is holding too many unresolved thoughts at once. This may include unfinished tasks, unclear priorities, multiple decisions, or vague goals. When someone sits down to work without a clearly defined next step, next action, the brain perceives chaos instead of moving forward. The mind becomes overwhelmed and looks for easier activities. This often shows up overthinking, organizing, or preparing instead of executing. People may feel busy but not productive because their mental energy is spent managing complexity rather than completing focused work. Execution requires clarity without a specific and a simple next step. The brain avoid action. See, it is simple to get into the action, but what we tend to do is like we will try to complex things a lot. We will try to add like multiple steps. Like recently I had this breakthrough of myself, which was like I was adding so many steps in my process of working that it was instead of making things easy, it was making things more hard for me, which I didn't kind of enjoy that. Then next, we are coming towards state misalignment. State misalignment happens when a person attempts to work while their body and environment are still in passive or relaxed mode. Even if someone intellectually wants to work, their physically surrounding posture, mental state may not support focus. Common example including working in the same place used for relaxation, keeping distraction nearby, or remaining in the low energy state. Without a real transition between rest and work, the nervous system does not recognize that it is time to perform. The brain says in consumption mode rather than execution mode. This lack of activation signal prevents entry into focused working state, making it harder to begin tasks even when motivation exists. So, what happens, what I'm trying to explain with this paragraph of mine is that until and unless we change our state, our like surrounding, execution is kind of difficult. For example, like people tend to say that, yeah, I can work out at home, my home, but but I've seen like a lot of our people like don't like, even if they go to the gym they don't like, most people are kind of like that. But what I've seen in me, like who actually care for himself, what I have seen in me is that if I'm saying that okay, I can work out and at home, it doesn't clicks for me. Like it doesn't gives my body signal to okay, I want to work out in my home. So when I'm at the gym, my body automatically get turned on that okay, it's gym time. Same with like a work mode. I will wake up, and at that point of time when I'm sleeping and when I woke up in the morning, I'm just feeling tired. Not tired actually, but I just it's like someday I wanna work, someday I just don't wanna. But I have kind of a ritual which we're gonna talk about in further of this video, that how to set up all those. So I have kind of a ritual through which I get into that mood of working. You know, you don't have to go through like 0%, because if you are in that zone, you have like 0% motivation, or if you even have some motivation, still it's just because you are in that zone, you don't want to work. Now, coming to the next part of this module is peak performers way, how high performers approach execution, how top. So first is identity based execution. Peak performers do not base their action on temporary emotional state. Instead of waiting to feel motivated, they operate from identity and decision. They view work as non-negotiable part of who they are, not something that depends on mood. When it's time to perform, they begin regardless of how they feel in that moment. This approach removes emotional negotiation from the process of starting. Rather than asking, do I feel like working? The question becomes, what is my next action? Execution become a standard behavior rather than an emotional choice. Over time, this creates consistency because actions are driven by identity and commitment, not fluctuating motivation. So when you look up to people online, like if you have any idol, for example, let's take Alex Amos, because he is a lot of idol for a lot of people. Because he is an idol for a lot of people. So when we look at him, do you think that he has this like do you think he think of it as like a goal thing, like okay, oh shit, I have to do so much of work? No, he's like okay, I'm made to work. Now, the best explanation of this is like when I read this book of Atomic Habits, and in that there was this two concept, which was identity based habits and goals based habits. So identity based habits, in that, it was like I am a runner, that's why I run. And goal based habits are like I have to run 10 kilometers, that's why I'm running. So when it comes to goals habit, it is like, okay, you are not that specific type of a guy. You can be either a simple school going boy who just want to run a marathon, but a runner is like, okay, my whole life is running, my whole thing is running. I think about running, I rest because tomorrow I have to run. I eat so that my body is I eat in a certain way which improves my running, you know, those kind of things. So identity based is kind of like that, and a goal based is like, okay, I'm just running, my food is not aligned towards that, my diet is not aligned towards that, my other things are also not aligned towards that. Then next we have ritual activation. High performers use ritual to transition into performance mode. A ritual is a repeatable sequence of action that signals the brain that it is time to focus. These rituals may include preparing a workspace, following a specific routine, or performing the same small action before big beginning work. The purpose of ritual is not productivity itself, but state change. Through repetition, the brain begins to associate these actions with execution. This reduces resistance and makes entering a focused state faster and more automatic. Rituals replace the need of for willpower by creating a reliable pathway into work. So what high achievers do is like they will create this ritual. Like in my life, what I'm doing right now, like I'm really lazy to get outside of my bed and kind of work. Like I just get I just didn't unable to turn on my work mode if I'm on my bed. So I have this ritual that I wake up. As soon as I wake up, I will leave my bed and I'll just go to terrace. And after going that, I will come back. I will mix creatine in water and I will just sit on my chair, open laptop. Like that's a ritual. That's like, okay, your now your step is not that you have to work. It is like a transition phase, that okay, how you transition is this, and you don't have to change it, you know. Every day if you do it, within few days it will be like your brain will understand, okay, if I'm doing this, I have to get in work mode. Then engineer starts. Rather than forcing discipline every day, peak performer design their starting process. They intentionally remove friction from the beginning of tasks and structure their environment to support action. This includes clarifying what to work, reducing distraction, and standardizing how they begin. By engineering their starts, they minimize decision making in the movement of action. This makes consistency easier to maintain and reduce mental effort. Execution become a result of design rather than self-control. Yeah. So what it's trying to say is that, see, that was my breakthrough like couple of days ago, like a couple of week ago. Like I had built system, I had built like these rituals, this transition phase, but it was like so long that uh, just by the nature, because it was so long, I was taking so much time to work on tasks. Like it was kind of like morning routine, you know. I got into that uh, zone of like I'm doing 1 2 hours of morning routine, then I'm getting to work. And I had kind of breakthrough that, okay, right now I don't have to actually work, like I don't have to actually have that much long of a process. I just need like shorter version of that. And and that is like one part. Another part is like if you woke up in the morning and the first thing you do is like take your phone and start seeing something. It may be just work related also, man. Like if that task is not related to what you are going to do next, it's just gonna distract you. Like it is also a distraction. Like by the nature of distraction is that it is not about like the work you are doing that's like distraction. It's not like just healthy foods. Unhealthy foods are distraction. No, if I'm a bodybuilder, for example, if or I'm a businessman, those two-person diet will be different in both of the categories. Okay, now coming to the next part of the modules, which is going to be action steps. How to apply this in daily work. First of all, friction reduction. Friction reduction focus on making the transition into work as smooth as possible. Removing obstacles that slow down or preventing starting. Example include preparing tools, organizing the workspace, closing unnecessary tabs, reducing distraction. The goal is to eliminate small barriers that create hesitation. When friction is reduced, beginning a task requires less mental effort. This creates a smooth transition into work rather than a hard stop and start experience. By designing the environment and processes ahead of time, the brain encounters fewer reasons to delay action. Yeah. So, like I was saying, if you are just opening, if you just woke up and you saw that okay, your table is just unorganized, like there's a lot of mess, then your brain will be like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna be like, uh, leave it. I will do it like some after that. But if it's like organized, you will have a reason that okay, I can see a clear straight path. Like your brain can see a clear straight path that I have to just wake up and sit on my desk and just get on working. Like there is no friction there that okay, you have to arrange your table first. So that is what I'm trying to explain in this action step part. Then we have attractive execution. Attractive execution involves shaping the work process so that starting feels easier and more inviting. This can include using music, lighting, or specific routines that make the work state more comfortable. The purpose is to associate work with positive, neutral sensations rather than stress or resistance. When execution feels psychologically appearing, the mind becomes more willing to engage. This reduces relying solely on discipline. Attractive execution is designed to encourage behavior. So remove distraction. You have like reduced, kind of what you are getting distracted by. Maybe you organize your table, you did everything, but after that, what you did, you kind of added something attractive, added something like okay, before work, I'm gonna listen to my favorite music. Okay, uh, I will play this song while working on this task. You know what I do is like back in when I was having my marketing agency SMM, when I was doing, I was actually really scared of like cold calls and all. So what I used to do I used to play Candy Crush. It's a game, and what I used to do, I used to just wake up and start playing that game. Like I'm just playing like 1 2 matches I played, and then I used to kind of get in that zone. And you have to be sure that the thing which you are making it attractive isn't like so much dopamine that it takes away the action step. the action you are trying to say. Now, momentum triggers are small actions that initiate momentums and build forward progress. This includes defining a clear, simple task using micro action such as writing one sentence or opening with one doc and following a standard activation sequence each time work begins. Clear signals tell the brain exactly what is about to happen. Micro actions lower the barrier to entry. Repeating the same sequence creates familiarity and automaticity. Together, these elements help shift from intention to execution by generating momentum early in the process. So basically, momentum triggers are like the obvious next steps. Like if I'm on my bed, it's pretty easy for me to think like, okay, I just have to go to terrace to get some fresh air. Then after that, yeah, I got some air. Like I need some water to drink. So naturally I will be like, okay, let's make some water, and in that only I will mix creatine, because I go to gym and I do take creatine. And then like while I'm mixing those things, it's like so logical to me to sit in here and open up my laptop. Like it is like a momentum trigger, like automatically it happens rather than you forcing it by willpower, by motivation, by discipline. Like those things online, it sounds kind of like, it kind of screams out that yeah, be disciplined, be motivated, be these things. But when it comes to like actually working, like these things actually work, at least for me. Like I have tried being like motivated, being disciplined, being those things, but kind of like forcing myself, but it hasn't worked all the time. I have kind of like just went back like 1 2 days max. I have followed it and just went back to my normal routine, which was like really bad at that time. Now like I have gotten pretty good at these stuffs, because I've been doing research and the studies about like how to actually work, and I see like people not taking action, not moving forward with this. So yeah, that's me. um, that's what I do. So that's it for this video. I hope you like it. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you have any question, you can comment on YouTube. And if you want this document, you can text me on Instagram at peakmanash. Either way, you can check out some social links on description also. Either way, see you in the next time. Bye. Have peace. Bye bye.